So this is part 2 of how to succeed in business after failure or when things potentially go wrong. If you haven't seen the first video yet, why not? Here it is. Here's a link. Please go and watch it, because if you haven't seen it, this video is going to be out of context and will not have the same impact or meaning for you. So make sure you go and watch it. If you have already watched it, fantastic. Please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe, please hit the notification bell. And what we're going to be doing in this video is we're going to be looking at 7 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 steps that you will need to take so that you can come out wiser, stronger, faster, better, more superior, and be able to succeed in your business after something goes horribly, horribly wrong, which I really hope it doesn't. But let's face it, they really do sometimes, don't they? So when they do go wrong, let's be better prepared. I think that's a better plan, right? Okay, let's get on with the video. Hit it. So in the first part of this video, I went through how my life went from super amazing to ridiculously catastrophically disastrous, all within the space of 30 days. And I didn't go through all of the details, by the way. I just went through enough things to show you how I was feeling at the different phases of how that progressed from really great to really bad to okay to here we are again. Things were really bad. I mean, if you haven't seen the video, go and watch it. I didn't even talk about my car going on fire in the other video. I tried to sell my car so that I can pay the end of salary payments for the 2 employees that we had left. And because the car had just recently been serviced, they had forgotten to connect up a hose. And in Dubai, in the scorching heat, I was trying to sell the car in the middle of the afternoon to somebody, and the car overheated and went up in flames. When things were going wrong, really everything was going wrong. It just seemed like not one thing was going right. My house flooded. Literally, the furniture on the top floor and went through the ceiling, went down and crashed down onto the ground floor all at the same time. It was just ridiculous. And also, when we look at how hard things were, I went from a place where money was not an issue for me, I didn't have to worry about money, to literally breaking in with my business partner into his son's piggy bank to rummage around for change so that we could figure out how much money we had left to be able to buy food for the next 2 weeks. So things were really, really bad. But what's important here to find out is, when things go wrong, what do you need to do to be able to get yourself out of them? So let's break down the 7 steps which I took initially unintentionally, and in some cases I didn't take and I regret, and now when things do go wrong, I go back and I do it this way. So step number 1, which is the first step, and this is something that I didn't do, is take some time off. Take some downtime. This is really important. I didn't do this and I suffered as a consequence. I really did. I just kept going and I kept going. Yes, my businesses succeeded after that, and yes, I gave a TEDx talk and all of these things, but I was still miserable and down and in chronic pain, and my health had suffered, my mood had suffered, everything was not right. I became a hermit and I was a shadow of the person I used to be. I didn't take some downtime, and taking some downtime is really important to make you come back at this with a refreshed perspective. Because if you keep going at it and going at it and going at it, your mind is not going to rest. And when your mind doesn't rest, it doesn't turn off. And when it doesn't turn off, it just keeps going. And if you have been in that situation, you'll know exactly what I mean by the mind not turning off. And every morning I woke up with severe anxiety, and I don't want that for you. So make sure that you take some downtime, which brings us to step number 2. Find someone that you trust. Really, find someone that you really, really trust and is aligned to the way that you think and your visions and so on and so forth. Because I had a lot of people, very close people, who really, really, like, I got along with really well. I found them. They would sit down to me and they would say, "You've tried this business thing, go and get a job. You need to now go and get a job, go back to the real world, get it, get a proper job, find a way to make some real money. And they're not the right people to talk to. However, talking to the right person will make a world of difference for you in being able to come back from this. I initially started off by talking to my wife, who was incredibly, incredibly supportive. And then I spoke to that other person, which I mentioned in the video, who started making me think about things in a different way. And as I spoke to more and more people, I began to realize that not only have I just been holding this inside me and feeling horrible about it, but it's something that I should start sharing with people, which is why I'm making these videos today. And before, I would have never spoken about any of this. It was until I spoke to these people was when I began to realize that I need to share this with more people, because more people need to understand that when these things happen, and they do happen, you can come back from them. And you can come back from them wiser, and you can come back from them more experienced, and you can come back from them stronger, and it's really not the end of the world. So it's possible for you to be able to achieve your dreams and achieve your successes that you've always had in mind, even when things go wrong. And when things do go wrong, I mean, you look at some of the most successful people in the world, all of them will have had their own major catastrophes and mistakes and failures. Nobody gets to the position or the place that they want to be without learning, and learning is usually by making mistakes. I know that there are other ways to learn, but the biggest lessons we learn are the ones that we learn from our mistakes, because we try and not do them again. So make sure you talk to somebody. So this brings us to step number 3, and step number 3 is all about lessons learned. This is the time where you need to sit down and analyze what went wrong, because now you've had that downtime, you've begun speaking to people about it, and you've had an exchange of conversations, and your mind is beginning to think about this in different ways, and you've begun to hear different perspectives from people that you know and you trust and are aligned with you on the same sort of vision and thinking. So what you need to do now is you need to go back and start writing down all of the things that have happened and what you think went wrong, analyze it, and say what you think could have been done better. And this is a stage and a step which allows you to really begin to learn from your mistakes and understand where you think you can improve. And that will make you a much better business person or entrepreneur. So once you've analyzed what went wrong as part of your lessons learned step, the next step is to sit down and rewrite your narrative. And I spoke a little bit about that in the first part of the video of rewriting your narrative. And what that essentially is you sitting down, writing out how things played out and how you think they played out from your perspective. And don't hold back here. Write down where you think you went wrong, what you're ashamed of, what you're guilty of, what you feel responsible for, all of the things that are playing on your mind, write it out. And then start looking at it from different perspectives. Look at it from other people's perspectives of how they would be saying to you, actually, you did this right and you did this okay and you could have done this and it wasn't so bad. You shouldn't feel guilty. Why are they saying that? And try and understand why are they trying to tell you this. And in most cases, it's not just for them to make you feel better, but it's actually potentially the truth from the perspective that you need to be looking at it. It's all about perspectives here. The same event can happen and people will perceive it from different ways, and it will play out in other people's heads in completely different manners. As I mentioned in the first video, you can go and run through an incredibly stressful experience and come back a year or two later and laugh at it and say, yeah, that was funny. And the experience hasn't changed. The event hasn't changed. It's your perspective of it that has changed. So looking at that narrative from a different perspective will help you see it in many other different ways that you hadn't seen it from that narrow tunnel vision that you had initially because you were constrained in it. You've now taken some time off. You've talked to people. You've looked at your lessons learned, and now is time to look at it from slightly different perspectives. And then flip all of the negative stuff that has happened for you that you think is negative and flip it to have a positive spin. What do I mean by that? So if you're saying, oh, I felt guilty because I did this bad thing, you say, actually, by doing this bad thing, this happened, and it wouldn't have happened because of that. I failed, but I wouldn't have met my wife had I not failed. I failed, but I am now a much better, more experienced business person who knows how not to fail, or when things go wrong, how to deal with them, that I didn't know before. And that makes me a much stronger person. So on and so forth. And you actually flip things and give them a positive spin and say, because of this, this is now so much better. And write out the narrative in the way that you now want to perceive it in a new light, so that it actually plays out in a way that is empowering you and not the other way around. And that's really important. This new narrative that you write for yourself needs to empower you and needs to make you understand that you are a better person because of this. And had this experience not happened for you, you wouldn't have identified certain holes or certain weaknesses that you had that you're now trying to fill and make better and not do again. So that's this step, which is rewriting your narrative. So the next step then becomes revisiting your purpose. What is your purpose now? Is your purpose still aligned with the same thing that you wanted to do before this happened? Because sometimes when a big event happens in your life or in your business, you turn around and you say, actually, this is not what I want to do anymore. I want to do something else. Or actually, it's made me more determined than ever to do this thing and do it better. And both of these are fine. There's no right or wrong answer here. It's what you think you need to be doing based off of the experiences and the lessons that you've learned. Now, in my case, I didn't want to just be doing tech businesses anymore. I wanted to really start focusing on other entrepreneurs and small business owners and help them, because at the time, I didn't have the help that I needed. I didn't have the people that had had those experiences to be there to guide and support and be able to tell you, this is how you run a business during good times, but also this is how you run a business during bad times, and this is how to avoid bad times because we've had this experience. And I felt that it was a calling for me to be able to come back and say, right, actually now I want to be able to help other entrepreneurs, and I want to be able to look at education and say to people, the education system is messed up. It really is, and we need to change it so that future graduates that come out will understand how to run businesses and how to be entrepreneurs and how to take risks and how to actually live within the world that we live in and not pretend that everything is going to be perfect and everything needs to be perfect, because it just isn't. So looking at that, that's where my purpose shifted from looking at tech businesses and tech worlds to looking at education and entrepreneurship and being able to give back. The next step then is making sure that you integrate failure in your business. Now, this sounds like a really, really strange thing, doesn't it? Integrate failure and embrace it and make sure it happens. What are you talking about, Tamer? These things I should be trying to avoid failure. Yes, you should be trying to avoid failure, but failure is part of life. Bad things happen and things don't always go to plan. And we sit there trying to hide our heads under the sand, away from the world, and saying, this is not going to happen, la 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 la, it's not going to happen. It does, and it will. So what are you going to do about it? And we sit there writing, even in organizations, risk logs, really trying to say to people, I'm making sure this is not going to happen, and this is why it's not going to happen. No, what you need to be doing is saying, if and when these particular things go wrong, this is how we will deal with it. And this is how we will learn from it. And this is how we will grow from it. If all businesses start embracing and integrating failure and actually not running around trying to get everything right and not failing, a lot more businesses will succeed rather than the majority of businesses that are failing and closing and shutting down now. And that's, unfortunately, the reality of the situation which we live in, because we live in a world that's not perfect. So sitting there pretending that we're going to be perfect and we're going to run perfect businesses and we're going to do this, it's just setting yourself up for failure, ironically. So now we come to our final step, but before we do, let's review a little bit. The first thing that you need to do, like we said, is take some downtime and then speak to someone you trust. The third thing that you need to do is look at lessons learned and then rewrite your narrative. Following that, what you need to do is revisit your purpose and then make sure that you integrate and embrace failure as part of your overall business strategy. And last but not least is go at it again. Really. Don't give up, because you can do one of several things. You can either give up and say, I'm beaten, never again, and then what? And then you don't achieve what you want to achieve in life. Is that what you want? Or the other extreme opposite is you keep going like I did initially, and then you completely and utterly become miserable and in pain, and you suffer as a consequence, and you head towards complete anxiety and burnout. The one in the middle, which I am now proposing because I have learned my lessons, is to sit there and follow these steps. But then once you've done that and you've come out stronger and you've come out wiser, you go back at it and you do it again. And you do what you need to do. You set your new vision, you set your new goals, you set your new targets, and you go for it. And that is the way that you are going to succeed after failing in business. So what I want you to do right now is write down in the comments below what you found to be the most valuable takeaway from this video. And if you were to take away just one thing, which one would it be? I'll be curious to find out. Write it in the comments below and I'll read every single one of them. Thanks very much. See you next time. And like they say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Well, it's the other way around. You plan to fail? Which one is it? I don't know. Anyway, one of them. If you fail to plan to fail, you plan to fail to succeed. It's one of those.